Start recording. Okay, so we are officially recording this video after 3 hours of trying to get it going. All right.
Excited.
Is my beard looks? Is my beard okay?
What's up? You okay?
No, I'm not. Wait, I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can't look over here. I gotta look over there.
That shining, like, 1,000-yard, like, deranged stare going on.
Oh, that's great. That's what we're insane. There's a lot of insanity going on, and there's...
I'm perfectly sane over here, well rested.
That's good. Good
and
for you.
I've been fed. I had a sandwich, an ice cream sandwich.
That's good. Good for you.
Thank you.
That's
You're
great.
in a pretty zen state right now, so.
Oh, I really am. It's real nice over here. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
I mean, I don't have to figure out the audio. I'm good.
Oh, you look very peaceful over there.
You gonna start this video anytime today, or?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. What's up? Welcome, Gob Squad. Today, we found somebody. MaxFerocity.
We found somebody?
We did. We found her. Not like a homeless type, but we found her.
On the side of the road. Yeah.
We are joined today by one of the most highly decorated cosplay queens in the Flesh and Blood community.
Oh,
MaxFerocity.
wow. Oh, I thought we were talking about me.
No, you are not a queen.
Yeah.
He's like, not yet.
Give him the chance, I guess.
Oh, man.
Hey, guys.
Holy moly.
Hello, thank you for joining us all the way from somewhere near there.
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Chicago. How do you not know these things?
Well, I wasn't
You
gonna
gotta
call
do a
her
better.
out like
You gotta
that.
do a better job of knowing your friends.
I wasn't gonna
You could
call
have
her
just
out.
said metrics. It would have worked.
I was about to say, you see, I see where she's at. So, some people know you as MaxFerocity, and some people know you as Rachel. Please,
Yeah.
where did it come from, and what do you prefer?
Yeah, so that kind of came out of accident. I had been at a competition dressed up as Dash, and people said, "Where's your socials? Like, we really want to start following you." I'm like, who wants to follow me? I have no socials. I am like in the dark ages, and so I had to hurry up and make a name. And I was like, well, you know, I love mech, obviously. I think most people know that know me. And so Maximum Velocity is my favorite card at the time. And I said, you know, MaxFerocity is kind of catchy. Let's go with that. And honestly, I don't care what people call me. I get Max in public just as much as I get Rachel. So I answer to either one. You could use whichever.
Awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic.
On a whim, in the middle of a cosplay. This is what we're doing. I love it.
When people want to follow me, I'm Maxferocity.
Just like that, yes.
My friends thought it was actually really lame. They're like, that's so cheesy and lame. Like, you're gonna like regret that. And I don't.
Now how lame are your friends? Because it's like a sick name. Losers.
Right?
Make sure you show all your friends that doubted you this video.
Of course.
So I know we have seen you personally in so many of the events, both judging and participating. Can you give us an update to date? What is your cosplay win record?
Let's see, win record right now. Well, so I've had 5 tailors.
Ooh.
One of them is not for a win. It was my, I guess you could call it like my reward for doing the guesting at Barcelona. So I'll kind of count as that since I didn't participate in the competition. One of my tailors was for a 2nd place, which was for my original Dash costume at San Jose Worlds. And the other 3 were wins for Nitro Mechanoid, Data Doll, and Hala Golden Helm.
Oh, that one was so good.
That was I just rewatched that video.
Oh, I loved that one so much. That was a good one.
I love that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, there was a
So I
really
haven't
good
even
photo
looked.
taken of you that you posted all over the place. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Some really good photographer took it. I think he might be a goblin.
It was this guy, wasn't it?
Definitely was him.
I don't know how he even gets on the plane. There is a height requirement, I'm sure.
Oh my
Double
gosh.
seatbelt. I don't know.
So, I got my inspiration back when you and I spent some time together in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of questions that I realized I had never had a chance to ask you and didn't really know the answer to. But now is the time to dive deep. So let's get started.
What are we diving deep about?
Well, I want to
Like
know.
into the pits?
Not into the pits.
Well, she's in metrics, and if we're diving deep, we're going
Yeah.
to the pits.
We
So
don't go
Azalea?
down there.
Ooh, we're going to Azalea? Are you doing Azalea next? Is that what we heard?
No.
So you have done so many different cosplays. These are cosplays that I have never even thought of, and you don't just stick to mech. We've seen you do different cosplays. So my question, and my big question is, can you tell us what your time spent in a cosplay is, with your concept, design, all the way to production?
So, I mean, obviously it varies by costume, how complex it is. I spend a lot of time in planning. That's the one thing I get a question about a lot, like how long does it take you? And when I tell people that it takes me construction time only a few weeks to maybe a month or two, people are really surprised, but that's because I spend so many months usually ahead of a costume, doing like designs on my computer, sketching things out, making blueprints basically. So most of my costumes have a couple of months lead time before I even start, picking up whatever materials I'm working with and digging in and cutting stuff. Just because I find the creative process and the imaginative process really to be some of the most fun for me. Before the build, and like getting all these concepts together and things I want to, like little Easter eggs and things I want to put in it. It could be up to several months.
Have you had any of your cosplays not be as long of a lead time, like rushed or surprised ones?
Yeah, so I don't know if I count this one as like a true cosplay, but I did a spoiler last summer for Dusk Till Dawn. And it was for the Reality Refractor, I believe it was. And I got that card, I think 3 days before I was to spoil it, like 4 days maybe. And they didn't ask me, to be fair to LSS, they didn't ask me to make a costume or anything. But I rush jobbed kind of like a pseudo herald costume, like an angel thing with these big wings and a dress and everything. And I made a refractor.
Good for 3 days. Like,
yes.
That's ridiculous.
Refractor's up on the shelf right now. I still have it. And so, yeah, 3 days, that was my rush job. And then the other one, it wasn't a rush job, but was when Dash.io was going to premiere, and I was going to spoil it. And I had more of a lead time. I had like maybe a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. But I was in the middle of other costumes, so it was kind of like, oh, well, we're going to slot this in now.
Into a slot that doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're going to make it.
That's crazy.
So we did get to see a cosplayer in New Zealand travel.
Oh, gosh.
With their cosplay, and I have, in fact, witnessed the inside of one of your hotel rooms before. So I do have some questions about your travel with these cosplays.
So that is probably the hardest part of the cosplay. Everybody thinks it's making it, but it's figuring out how you're going to travel with it is really, for me at least, one of the hardest things, because I think you guys have seen, I really like making armored cosplays, like these bulky things. And we've seen the Nitromechanoid. You helped haul 3 cases out of my room for me before we even knew each other, knocking on my door. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm here to take your crap. Let's go. And so, yeah, like getting stuff to different events it can be a nightmare sometimes. These costumes, you can't really just jam them down in a bag and jump on these bags and be like, let me just crush this, into place and destroy it before a competition. And so really, like when we talked about planning, that's why I spend so much time in planning, because I'm trying to figure out, like, not just how do I want to look, what I want to do. I want to know how modular I can make it to travel with. So like the Hala sword that you saw, that glowing light up sword, that thing breaks down into like 3 pieces.
Wow.
Into my luggage. So it has to be able to be put back together, but be able to be taken apart. And so all of that planning a lot of times, results in a lot of like work up front, just up here in the mental space of how am I going to make this giant thing fit into a suitcase, or maybe 2. And, honestly, like a lot of it too is just Phil's tolerance, Phil being my husband. For people
you mean it's not John?
It's not John. Oh my God. Should we talk about that?
Awkward.
We can talk about it later.
God. Yeah, no, so many fun moments. But it really is like one of the biggest parts of cosplay that I think as an early cosplayer I didn't think ahead on and learned very quickly that it needs to be a part of your upfront process. It's always my biggest piece of advice to new cosplayers is like, this is the boring stuff, but you need to think about it because you're going to be dragging like 2 or 3 bags per event.
Yeah, right. And so for people that may not know, where is that sword now?
I know.
That sword remained in New Zealand. I have a friend over there that wanted to keep it. I offered it to them. They really liked it. So it's hanging up someplace. I don't know. I left it in someplace. I think starts with an L. I don't know.
Smellicis? Smellicis?
Rhymes with smells. So yeah, I know I left it over there. It was something that I created. It wasn't a weapon that existed in the canon really yet. So Hala in her picture, for people who have or haven't seen her, really never looked at the card that deeply before. You only see the hilt of the sword. She's kind of grasping it at her side. And so when I started creating that, I stopped and I said, okay, well, I could just stop here and make this a straight blade. It doesn't really matter. We see this little part of this hilt. So who's going to look at the sword? But I like to get really crafty with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I made a whole raised detail with all of these runes along the side, the Solanian language that I translated to say the what I think is the credo of their guard, which is like, by the light, I swear that I will walk in the light, something like that.
Oh, that's so sick,
wow.
dude.
Yeah, and so I lit it up from within, from behind, so it actually like shimmers down the blade. And so I thought that'd be a nice touch, given that she's the trainer of these people of Dorinthia,
right.
of her students. And so, when I was showing it off there, I think they thought that was pretty cool, that I created this lore behind it. I gave it a name. Its name is Zenith Blade.
That's so cool.
Or if you pronounce it like a New Zealander, Zenith Blade.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I think that they were very excited that I made kind of my own lore and my own weapon to go with the hero, even though she's not a hero, she's a mentor. She's a hero to me.
So you've heard it first here, guys. When we get a light rune blade hero, it's because of her. And the weapon is going to be Zenith Blade, because it looks like a light rune blade weapon. It is sick.
That's true. I do look forward to seeing if bring it down the pipe.
Right.
Yeah, I was just very flattered that anybody wanted to keep it. So hopefully it's getting swung around somewhere on lunch hour and played with.
That's
I could see them doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see them playing with toys during lunch hour.
Well, it also means too, though, if I want to wear Hala again, I have to remake the sword. So right now I'm in the process of reprinting the sword, remaking it. It'll probably take me a couple weeks,
cool.
but
that's sweet.
And I do remember when helping you with the mechanoid, I walked into the hotel room and it looked like
tell them.
Assembly
It's okay.
line. It looked like we were assembling things, or that something had disassembled itself. But I had a lot of questions as to what I was looking at because I didn't understand, and so that leads me into my next question about the type of material that you work with when creating these cosplays, because what I've come to understand is that there are different levels of cosplayers, as far as like some people who buy material and some people who literally create it using other things that you wouldn't understand or expect. And you are a creator. You're not just going to Amazon something in and be like, here we go.
Yeah, so one of my favorite materials, actually my favorite material that I work with probably in 90% of my costume builds, is called FaBFaM. And it looks like basically a rolled up yoga mat. I've got a ton of them behind me in this filthy room that you can't see because I'm in metrics, of course. They look like yoga mats. They're usually like black or white, and it's just a rubbery type foam material. And so I like it because it's really lightweight. I mean, it just feels like a yoga mat when you pick it up. It can be packed better, it squishes, all that nice stuff. But it's a lot of work because you're taking this piece of like black material yoga mat and creating something that looks like armor or like metal. So, you have to learn geometry, how to shape things, how to cut them to make a 3D object that you want it to look like and look smooth, and paint it metallic and make sure it doesn't crack when you flex it. There's a lot that goes into working with that material, but it's honestly my favorite thing to do. People ask me about, when are you going to do this character or that involves like a beautiful gown or sewing or different things. And I'm like, and that's fine. That's all I used to do before this. But I don't know. It's super fun being a badass in armor, just rolling around,
you had
swinging a sword.
You had to do sewing for, I forget the name of it, the one with the hammer. You had to sew your
Throttle.
pants, right? Yeah, Throttle.
Yeah. So Throttle was interesting. I did that for the Realm. I actually won that too, so I guess I didn't put that in my winnings, but it wasn't a tailor contest. Right. It was a private contest. Mm-hmm. And Throttle was a fun one because I had 5 days to do that. I made it in 5 days. I went thrifting and found like some old trip pants and stuff at a store. I had to cut them down, resew them, and dye them to look like his stuff. And so I did a ton of thrifting and resewing and made a whole hammer pack. Yeah. Just so I could roll around and say it's hammer time and annoy my husband.
I think I scrolled across one of those photos from that outfit specifically this morning when I was looking at her previous outfits. I'm pretty sure it was the hammer one.
Yeah, the hammer was ridiculous, and then like her outfit was like she was just talking about, oh, I don't really like to do sewing. I'm like, oh, really? Because I happen to know when you did some on.
I really don't, and it's funny because I actually just bought a new sewing machine again. Now I have like 4.
4 sewing machines?
I don't really like sewing machine. I only have 4.
I only have 4. But no, I just, for me, sewing is fine, and you know, it's fun. It can be okay. I just really, really like the process of seeing like a rolled up piece of material turn into a giant nitromechanoid is it's pretty fun. And I also use you were asking about materials. I 3D print quite a bit. I'm not as expertise as some other people, so like my foray into making full props like the sword, that was my first big prop that I made off of that. I'm working on another prop right now, and so with every costume I do, you'll find some part on it that was 3D printed that I designed so cool. You know, in Blender and
that's
printed
so
it.
sick.
Wow.
That is so sick.
So I think this was a Hank question. You asked this question.
I don't think I asked this question, but I can.
No, you did, because I never wrote this down. This wasn't in my writing.
This was definitely in your writing.
I'm gonna go look now.
So anyway, Amy asked you this question, but then she apparently forgot. So
I'm looking.
Have you ever gotten through a concept design fully and then realized, yeah, I'm just throwing this away?
A
lot.
lot.
I did write it down.
You definitely wrote it.
I'm here, guys.
So I've never fully scrapped like a whole costume and said, oh, I'm never going to do this costume. Screw it. It's too hard, and stomped away. But there is time with every build, including my current one. You know, I'm pretty experienced now, but I've redone a piece that I'm working on. So my next costume is going to be, I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but it's a mechanologist costume. Big surprise. But it will actually be my last mechanologist costume for a very long time.
Wow.
I've
got, because I actually have my plans for my costumes that usually go about 8 months plus out.
That's
I already
sick.
know what I'm doing for like January of next year at this point.
When's the goblin for Hank gonna happen?
Oh no, yeah. Let me fit that in. Sorry. We'll talk. But where I'm going with this is I'm working on a piece of armor right now that's a torso piece. Like it covers my whole torso from under my bust to it's basically got a bikini bottom.
Oh.
And so I have to start making guesses on what I'm making there. But I will not confirm or deny anything right now. But what I'm making, it's just really difficult to make. It's a very complex piece, a lot of angles and, you know, complex curvature. And I've redone it 3 times now.
Wow.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. I might give you a preview, but yeah. So it's one of those things where, you know, there's so many times I scrap things, but it bothers me not just from the lost work perspective, but because of, you know, the waste. Mm-hmm. This material isn't exactly renewable. Right. So if you went downstairs in my house, you'd see giant garbage bags filled with foam scraps or pieces that got scrapped because I don't get rid of them. I find other ways to use them in the costume, and
that's good. I
always try to reuse materials so that nothing goes to waste.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I wasn't sure, like, because, you know, I didn't ask this question.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure, like, after you had said you normally take months to figure out your cosplays, I imagine that there weren't too many things that got scrapped if you put that much forethought into them, but...
Not too many, but it's just every time I do a costume, I try to challenge myself with something more complex. Right. And although, like, for example, people saw me in, what did I just do? The Evo Mockbreaker.
Yes.
So Evo Mockbreaker, visually, I'm sure to a lot of people was like, oh, well, that's not as complex as her previous costumes. But actually, it was more complex than my... Yeah, so it's just, it depends on what you're making. So every time I do something, I'm doing something old, but something new within there that I've never tried before. So making like this torso piece, it's a very difficult piece to pattern and make. And so it's been giving me a lot of trouble, whereas other pieces of this armor are, you know, something I've kind of made sort of before. And so those go more smoothly because I can plan better for them. Yeah. So I try not to waste. But now if you're talking about costumes that go on the shelf and wait, I've got a couple of those where like I get halfway through and then get distracted. I've got one that I've been working on for a year that's still sitting halfway down in the closet.
Oh, that's funny.
Who wants to come out and say hello?
Who's coming out? What?
Your cosplay in the closet. It wants to come out and say hello.
I was like, are you guys gonna go get filled? Do you want to say hi to him? I don't know.
Is he in the closet?
Yeah, hanging out in the closet now. He's downstairs, probably like, be quiet up there. I'm trying to watch TV. But yeah, no, there are 2 costumes right now that I've been picking at for over a year, and part of it was because when I picked them up originally, I didn't have the skill. I thought that I could do them, and then I had to put it back down. But then, time goes on, other things distract you, squirrel, and you're on to the next thing. But my hope is actually to finish both of them for like later this year for like Chicago or Portland or something.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So we got to talk briefly, and I learned a little bit more about you in New Zealand, about what your day job is and what you do when you are not in the Flesh and Blood community. But my question is, how did we go from that and get into cosplay?
For my day job?
Yes.
Well, I still have my day job, and it is very much not what I do for fun. But for anybody out there wondering, what I actually do as my day job is I help run an audit department for a bank. And so very, very different, kind of dry when you think about it. But what I do learn from that job and that career is problem solving, project planning, that sort of thing. All those kind of skill sets that can help you go through something that you've never done before. When I get dropped into an audit, it's something I've never even looked at most of the time. So that skill set does actually translate. But where I came from costuming was actually my whole life, and even when I was younger, I always wanted to do something involving costuming or stage work.
That's awesome.
Just didn't work out that way, I kind of decided I'll take the boring job and, do what my parents would hope. And then when Flesh and Blood came along and I started getting really into it, I don't know, I just one day said, I really want to make a costume for this character. I go to Ren fairs every year. I make little mini costumes. This would be a lot of fun. But I don't know if I can do this. I've never made armor before, for Dash. And I just decided to go for it. And using some of those skills, even though they're not artistic skills, does help translate into the creative process of how do I break a problem down and say, I go from I can't do this, I have no frigging clue how to do this, to all right, we're moving, just keep taking it task by task.
Yeah, so we've interviewed 2 cosplayers now, and both of them have dressed up for Ren Fair.
I mean, it's fun. Who doesn't love a good turkey leg and a beer?
Oh
my.
Yeah.
Come on.
Didn't we go to a Ren fair where we got to see camels?
Camels?
I'll show you the photo. There's camels.
Camels at the Ren fair, huh?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh my goodness. I will show the photo.
Did she have too many of the beers while she was there?
No, I wasn't drinking. I wish.
It's just somebody in a camel costume.
I remember like a falcon or something, but I don't remember a camel.
There's camels.
There's horses usually, for
there's tons of horses. Yeah, but that's a standard. But there was a camel.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And an elephant.
Okay. I didn't ask this question either, but to get us back on track, to date, what is your favorite cosplay that you've made, the hardest cosplay that you've made, and a cosplay that you hated?
Okay, favorite's going to be hard to say. Let's say favorite, though, is actually, this is probably going to surprise people. You'd think it's one of my mechanologist costumes, but I think my favorite costume to date has been working on Hala.
So good.
And it really makes me want to do more warrior stuff.
Yeah, because you love to make armor, so it makes sense.
And I do love warrior. A lot of people don't realize I also play warrior decks.
Oh, there you go.
Like in addition to Dash, right now I'm playing Kasai. I've played Dory a lot before. And so like throughout the next year, you're going to see me pull out a couple of warrior costumes. So in addition to Hala. So I very much enjoyed Hala. It was just, I don't know, I felt so powerful.
You looked powerful.
Hala. Yeah.
I felt just so like strong, and I loved swishing around with the cape and swirling it. It was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy.
It was great, but what was the other one? The one I hated the most?
So it was the hardest one that you've made, your favorite, and the hated.
So the hardest one I made, I'll say next, is actually the mock breaker I just did. Even though it doesn't seem it, I've done a nitro mechanoid, for God's sakes. What do you think?
Right.
But that was probably the hardest one, just because of the way it needed to fit and being able to skate around it and not hurt myself. Because a lot of people don't realize when I was on those rollerblades, those are trick rollerblades. They are they're like ice skates. They have a rocker, so you're only on 2 wheels at any given time. I used to figure skate, so like this, I wanted something that would get me back into it. I could use after the cosplay.
You're like the coolest human being to exist.
So it's I brought back a love.
I'm a bank auditor that doesn't like to sew, but has 4 sewing machines, and just did some figure skating and.
Ren Fair's figure skating woman.
I should show you my garden too. I love gardening.
We gardened.
That's a Renaissance woman,
Wow.
But no, I that was the hardest to make just because of the way it needed to fit, how close it had to be to my body, flexible and fit together, and it was head to toe almost armor. I also mixed all the paint. I actually used car paint on that and mixed all the pigments myself by hand.
It was very vibrant.
So that has 6 pigments in it. It was crazy. I used an auto sprayer and everything. It was wild. Wow. But yeah, the one I the one I just so let me put this way. I love all my children. The costume I dislike the most, and God, I hope LSS or James or anybody isn't watching this. And it was because of how I made it. So I will preface this by saying it was one of my favorite visually, but it was very hard to wear, was Dash.io. Dash.io, I'm actually going to remake it at some point. It still exists. I have it. But the way that the lighting worked and how shallow that armor is and thin to your body to make the lighting stick into it, it was digging into my legs, into my arms. It was very sharp. And all the wires were getting pinched all the time. So it just kept getting severed. Every single night in Barcelona, I would come back to the hotel and resolder stuff that had popped. So it was more so I was just disappointed in how I made it. But you learn something from every cosplay and say, well, okay, that was a screw up, but next time I'm going to do this so much better. And the result of that is all my costumes after that had the advantage of knowing certain things. Yeah. Off that build.
So I think we already touched on LSS asking you to do specific builds because we do know what they did. But what doors has cosplay opened for you since?
So really number one is just the community and making so many friends because of it. I've met more people, made more friends and relationships and connections that I would have, I think, just at the tables. Walking around as somebody's favorite hero or a card they enjoy, they want to come up and talk to you and introduce themselves. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'm a very shy person naturally. Once I know you, I'm outgoing, so that kind of extroverted introvert. But otherwise, I think I would have probably just been quiet and at the tables and not really getting to know people. And so, yeah, it's I feel like I can walk into a room at any event and know a vast majority of people there that aren't new to an event, and new people I'll just meet soon enough. Right. And as far as doors opening, I mean, yeah, having I'll say it. James called me personally to ask me to do Dash.io. That was just so cool. Shocking and cool. I mean, to get a message from saying, hey, can we chat soon? And to have him call me from the office, you
made a phone call, sir, from New Zealand.
New Zealand. It's yeah, can we do a Zoom call? And we were talking, and he's like, I want you to do this, but it has to be top secret. We're going to be letting you reveal the hero, and we want you to play the hero, and can you make this costume? And it was such an incredible honor, and no, that door would not have been open. I mean, let's just say it. I'm not a traditional content creator, right? So to even get spoilers is so amazing, and they're honestly the favorite part of working with LSS and being some of the LSS people is getting to do that, not because it's oh, look, I have a spoiler, here's my card. I mean, that's cool, but it's the creativity of getting handed something and saying, I'm going to make something cool to go with this. I want to reveal this with a costume. I think if I ever get another spoiler again, I'd probably continue making a costume for each one of them because it's a fun challenge.
Right. Oh, yeah. Especially a time crunch challenge too, because they're not handing those things out in a timely manner.
It's definitely a make it work.
I think I heard this last spoiler season they actually gave a little more time.
Oh, that's
I heard that.
I remember DM Armada saying, "Okay, I'm done. Now what?" Whereas normally it's down to the last minute. Yeah. I think the first one we had some time, and then the next
for the first one.
The first one we had quite a bit. The second one I think it was a little less, and the third one was
nothing.
You'll get your card after you've done your spoiler.
Yeah. That one was here's your digital asset.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Cards in the mail.
I was thinking of something else when you were saying the doors that it opened. One of the most fun things I got to do all year when you're asking about costumes was not make a costume for myself. You guys know about
Oh
this.
My God.
We do.
So
the best cosplay that wasn't allowed to win.
I know.
Yes.
Right? I disagree.
My God. I'm sorry, but she crushed you.
She crushed it.
She crushed you. Her acting, oh my God, that was incredible.
She was incredible. So Carolina and I had been talking to Monica, who is James's daughter, and Cece, his wife, at Barcelona. And we had talked about, hey, you love our costumes. Would you like a costume? And she was so excited she would love a costume. So sometime in December before New Zealand, we talked, Carolina and I talked with James and Cece and said, well, we'd love to make her a costume so that she can have fun at the premiere. And so he's like, here's a card I think you could do for her. And he handed it over before I think it was even spoiled.
Yep.
And I mean, we didn't know what the card did, it was just the art. But it was really cool. And so we had this whole top secret project and we made it for her as a gift because we just wanted to do this. And so Carolina took the clothes and I took the armor and the weapon. And we made that and brought it to her, and just to see her face light up and how much she enjoyed getting into the character. And it was really funny because I was working on Hala at the time, and I like threw my costume in the back. I was like, I put all my effort into hers.
Yeah, literally the hair on my arm stood up as you were talking about it. Like, because like just the energy that she had, the excitement that she had.
Oh yeah,
like
she did awesome.
Oh my gosh, she absolutely killed it, and it was just like. Oh, she just did the card so much justice. Like, it was Shift the Tide of Battle, right?
Battle. Yep, Shift the Tide of Battle. And, oh, she looks so cool. She did so well with her acting on it. And, like, honestly, I changed my answer. That is my favorite costume now that I've had a hand in making, is making the armor for her costume and presenting it and giving her the spear and everything. It was just so cool.
So cool, yeah. Man. Yeah, what a great moment. I'm so glad we were able to be there for that, because, like really you got to see it in the video, but like when you got to see her in person and her smiling and like just God, and then her acting was just like I was like, holy moly.
That's my favorite cosplay photo that I have, is her and I from the side and I'm handing her like the sword, or maybe it was her spear. It was my Hala sword, Hala as the mentor and her as the warrior, you know. And
I wonder who took that picture.
So cool. Yeah, that was some cool goblin again.
It's weird. Weird, like all the best pictures come from goblins.
I know they do.
So that's I think that pretty much wraps up the cosplay.
It does.
Unless you got anything else, any secrets or anything else you'd like to tell any aspiring cosplayers out there before we move on.
No secrets yet, but I keep saying, and I've been working on it for a long time, and I just haven't put it out there yet, is I'm working on some videos for my channel, because I made a channel a long time ago and haven't done anything with it except spoilers, which is Pour the Mold. And so I'm working on a couple of videos right now to give like tips and tricks and short form videos on like, oh, you know, you want to know how I do this? This is what I do. So you'd have to tune in there, and I'll post it when I eventually get done with that.
Cool. Sounds
That's
great.
Exciting. We look forward to seeing those.
We're subscribed. I don't know if you guys are subscribed, but
probably should be subscribed.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point. I'll push it when it's out there, but I don't want to waste people's time until there's videos out there. But I'm really excited.
You don't get any notifications. What's there to waste? You just have it there, and it's like, oh, she's not posting anything. I'm not getting any notifications
until she posts something, and then.
Oh my gosh, we got the notification!
Then it's like
all the secrets of cosplay are yours now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh,
so now we're gonna move on to the actual game itself, Flesh and Blood.
Yeah. So when I started frantically writing out these notes in New Zealand, the name that I gave this interview was Cosplay versus Real Play. And so it was basically, I wanted to talk to you about you as a cosplayer, but also you as a actual real Flesh and Blood player, because you do play, you do compete.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
She's pretty good, too.
Yeah.
She's actually pretty good. I don't know if you know that. She's actually pretty good at the game.
Because there are some people who only do like one aspect, so they're either only going to like compete, they're only going to cosplay, they only do one thing. I love that you actually still play the game as well. You have your decks, and you actually want to jump in there and be a part of it, not just I'm going to make pretty costumes.
Well, it helps. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to say it helps that her husband is like obsessive about collecting all the cards, so they have every card known to man, right?
Actually, you'd be surprised. No, Phil is pretty good at divesting of cards. He only keeps certain decks.
Oh, only certain decks.
I'm always having to like scramble for a card if I pick up something new, and like, but luckily my buddies, have a store, so
it must just be the high end cards that fit his decks that he gets. Because I was talking to him about cards, and he's like, oh yeah, I got this cold foil, this, that, and the other. I'm like, and how much are those?
Yeah, so Phil is big on blinging out decks, and I am too. My dash deck is like as cold foiled as it can get. I'm very big on the diamonds aren't a girl's best friend. It's cold foils, baby.
Noted.
That is fantastic.
So we know who your favorite character is in Flesh and Blood, but what about your favorite character to play? Who's your favorite hero to play?
Big surprise, my favorite hero to play is still Dash. However, there's now 2 versions of Dash, and I'm really enjoying playing Io the most. I think it's a deck that hurts my brain, but in a good way. Right. It hurts so good. And I think like it's just got this really high floor to figure out how to play it, but also this super high ceiling that sky's the limit on how good you could get with that deck. And it's not a deck you pick up like after a really long day at work, but I think with a lot of work, it really rewards you. So I do like playing Dash, IO, and I like the whole constructing a board state. You know, thinking ahead to how do I want to build this match out, but I can also just go for a flat run if I want to as well.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. And you said that you'd recently, or not, I don't know if it's recently, but you said you're playing some Warrior as well?
Yeah, so I've been playing a Kasai deck for the last couple of months, really enjoying that with all the cards that came out in the last set. And so Kasai's been really fun for me. I like kind of the gotcha aspect with Warrior, the different play lines, making my opponent have to think when they're playing against me. It's like, hey, I'm not just playing with numbers right now. I'm actually going to pop you with something out of Arsenal. I do enjoy Dory as well, Big Sword Dory, but she's not as meta right now.
What weapons are you running in Kasai?
Centauri Sabers right
Sabers, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know if I want to build a Kasai deck or not, but like you were talking about making people think, and you know, like I made the mistake of the first CC event I actually attended was the Realm 20K, and I was like, I want a deck that's like just I don't have to use my brain really, and so I picked Rhinar. And the problem with Rhinar is, like you said, your opponent doesn't have to think what you're doing because they don't care what you're doing. So then, like, yes, this deck doesn't deck doesn't require.
Nope. This is why we need to edit. This is why.
This deck.
Look, he's just doing a dick check. Okay.
Oh, the old dick tech. So.
Lord have mercy.
I love you guys.
Oh God. But anyway, so I realized like my opponent doesn't have to think about what I'm doing, so then it's all on me, and so that's why I've really been contemplating. I've been playing a lot of Viserai, and unfortunately, Viserai is one of those decks as well where you have to do all the thinking. It's your job to play the game flawlessly to win. And I've had some good results and I've had some bad results. But I want a deck that makes my opponent think. So I've really been interested in either playing Kasai or Uzuri. And then you've got these new heroes that have just come out that may be interesting as well. But it's like, I don't know. I'm tired of having to be the one to think. And I want my opponent to think a little bit. So I'm definitely thinking I may switch to some like reactionary type decks, because having to do all the thinking and your opponent not caring what you're doing is very annoying.
I mean, I think they're also kind of fun to play against too. I like the aspect of like the 4D chess aspect of sitting there and saying, okay, I play both of these areas, warrior and mechanologist. And so if I'm playing against like a Dory, an Axis Dory, or a Kasai or whatever, having to think through in my mind the various play lines that they could possibly have in their hand, because it is less linear, you know, than like a Dash IE, for example. Right. And so I really enjoy both playing as warrior and playing against them. It's a little bit of a mental exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Any goals on the player side as far as what's going forward?
So in the past, my goal was to make it to US Nats, and I did 2 years in a row.
That's sick.
Awesome.
This year, I had to take a step back a little bit from play for the last couple of months for various health, personal reasons, and just was so busy with work. I was still playing, just didn't have the time to grind, you know, and practice for the Nats qualifier season. I did not make it this year, and that's okay. I think in the, you know, go forward, I'd like to make it again, because I do enjoy the play aspect from a competitive standpoint, not just a casual standpoint. And I've always had the goal to eventually, you know, actually qualify at a PQ and go to a pro tour. But I know that's on me as a player, that I need to put in more work on my side, and between cosplay and life, it's been a little hard, but I still am passionate about the game and just love playing, and I'm really looking forward to the next set and checking it out.
Yeah, I think that's like my biggest thing too, is that we started as content creators. I never had any aspirations of being great at the game. We just kind of played and tried to get better at the game. Amy's kind of taken a little bit of step back, where I've kind of more dived into it, and I've started really playing CC and trying to get good at the game. And I think that's one of the most frustrating things for me, is that I have this Viserai deck, and like I love Viserai, I love the Marvel hero that I have, but it's like I'm just gonna have to switch to a deck that's good, and you know, play something that, you know, I can win, because ultimately my goal is to win at as many levels as possible. And I've gotten close a few times. I went 3-1 at a pre-release. I went just this weekend, I went 3-1 on Viserai at an armory. I went 3-2 in my first ever RTN finishing 10th with Viscerai. So like my goal now is like, it's cool to be a content creator, but I want to become more knowledgeable with the game. I want people to respect what I have to say about the game. And then I want to win. I want to be like respected as a player, not just like, oh, Hank, he's such a nice guy and like he's great to be around. I want to be like, no, like cool, but that dude wins and he knows what he's talking about. So like, I don't know. That's my aspiration is like get that armory win, get that RTN win, get that battle hard win. I just want to keep going as high as I can and just get better at the game and be respected as a player instead of just a guy that makes people laugh and is dashing and handsome
and humble. Don't forget that. I'm sorry.
This next question is totally yours.
This question was mine. I actually did make this question.
You did.
You didn't write this one.
No.
I wrote this one. Did you want to read it since I wrote it?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
All you, boo.
So,
oh, man.
Speaking of playing, right? There's this team, and I've heard that it is the greatest fake team ever created. And it's called the Gob Squad, right? And it's like, they have these really cool colors. There's like this really cool channel that's associated with it. And you're a part of that team. Why don't you ever wear their jersey?
Because I am a filthy, messy human being that doesn't know where anything is in my house. I live in a cosplay lair. I can't even find, like, my husband half the time.
Marco!
Therefore, every time I find the jersey, I set it aside. I'm like, I'm going to bring this to the next event. And somehow, magically, it disappears before I pack for the next event.
That's so funny.
So,
that is
sorry,
too funny.
guys.
He seems a little sour about it.
I'm not. I just,
bit.
we made
Just a
something
little.
nice for her and she just lost it. It's fine.
I know. I was going to make something nice for you, but...
I wouldn't lose it.
You're so mad at me.
I wouldn't lose it. I would wear it all the time. I'd wear it out. I'd wear it to work. Yes, I'm here to
He probably would.
Here to do some photography.
He probably would. Yeah. Oh my. All right. So here's time for the fun part of the interview. The rapid, fast questions that mean nothing, but we're just curious.
Yeah. All right.
You probably should have asked this question before you went into that.
Oh.
It's kind of like it's not rapid fire. You just ruined this entire interview.
Probably did.
One more question before the rapid fire.
I thought you already answered that.
I don't think so. What do you like to do for fun or to wind down outside of Flesh and Blood?
And outside of cosplay.
Yeah, outside of cosplay.
That's not winding down, trust me.
No.
Not at all. It is very turned up.
Turn down for what?
Yeah, all right. Oh, God.
Lord.
So for me, it's gardening, which I know is kind of a part year times thing, but I'm often outside hanging out with my plant buddies. I'm very big into gardening. I used to have a giant plot, it was 20 by 30 that I used to work on, but I unfortunately had to give that up with everything that kind of popped off with Fab and all the stuff I've been doing, so it's a good reason to have to set it aside a little bit, but it'll always be there for me. But yeah, that's my favorite thing to do is to sit outside hanging out the plants.
Very therapeutic. I like it. Rapid fire questions?
I think you're good for rapid fire questions now, yeah.
All right.
I think I am.
So they mean nothing, but we are going to judge you based on your answers. First one that's not written on here. Are you an iPhone or an Android user? That's going to tell me a lot about you.
iPhone.
Thank God. Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Dunkin'.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Mountains or
Do you like Starbucks?
Yes.
Why?
Dunkin' is watered down crap.
No, it's not. Dunkin's
Starbucks
way
is
better than
burnt
Starbucks.
crap.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I don't drink coffee.
Exactly. So she's like, which hot chocolate do you prefer?
Exactly.
Well, that's different. I don't even know. Does Dunkin' have hot chocolate?
It's watered down crap.
See, you can't ask a question like that and people are expecting coffee and you're like, I'm very judging you right now in your hot chocolate choices.
Still judging.
Look, what you have to understand is coffee is cosplay fuel, and Dunkin' gives me a size like this for half the money of Starbucks. So.
I understand that. I do understand the money side of that. Mountains or beach?
Mountains, all the time.
I don't know, mountains are great, but there's just something about just sitting by the water.
No, I'm a hiker. So when you ask what I do for fun to wind down, it's I can't do it all the time, but I'm a big hiker. Phil and I go to all the national parks as much as we can.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, I like to hike in a vehicle.
Yeah. You like to hike to and from the store, from the vehicle.
Yeah. To the parking lot as close as I could possibly park.
Do you prefer to cook at home or do you like to dine out?
I love cooking, but I love dining out more. Sitting on a patio with a glass of wine is where it's at.
I like waffles or pancakes.
Waffles, is that even a question?
I know. Who likes... Let me guess, you like pancakes?
No, I like claws.
Oh, thank God. Oh.
I was about to say soggy circles of disappointment is what they are now.
Isn't it
Who
ridiculous?
doesn't want the crunch of a good Belgian waffle?
Isn't
Like,
it the
come
same
on,
batter though? Isn't that insane? Like it's just
it's
the
a little
process.
different. Like there's more eggs, I think, in,
Is there?
in waffles
Okay.
because of the rise and yeah.
Interesting. Okay, and then she didn't ask this question, but we've asked everybody else this question. So, dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs.
Okay.
Always dogs.
I didn't ask it because I already knew her answer. I'm sorry.
But they don't.
My bad. Camels.
Did you ever
Camels,
find a
is
picture of a
that-
camel?
I had to stop looking because you kept looking at me every time I touched my phone. And then the final one.
It doesn't exist.
I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna tag you in it. I'm gonna tag both of you in it.
Tag me in the shot.
Elves or goblins? I know what Hank wants you to answer, but I want you to answer your personal favorite.
From an aesthetic standpoint, I would say elves, but elves are kind of douchebags. Goblins, actually.
But I'm gonna argue that goblins are also douchebags.
Yeah.
Does this guy look like? Look how sweet he is with his little jagged teeth and his little red eyes and his little pointy
Can I
ears.
choose off menu? Can I
No,
special
absolutely
order
not.
halflings? You know, halflings are fun to hang out
stop
with. You
it.
know, they cook for you. They have parties. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Camels.
No wonder she lost her jersey.
Oh my lord, have mercy.
Well, we thank you so much, not only for this interview, but for being a friend. And we're very sorry. For those of you that don't know, we took probably over an hour and a half to just get this set up. This is not the backdrop we had in mind. Although Viscerai's over here in the man, that's awesome. Anyway, it took a while to get set up, so we really appreciate you sticking with us and doing this video. Yeah, we just appreciate your friendship and taking the time with us. And
Nothing ever happens in the goblins world without it being absolutely chaotic and slightly unhinged.
yeah, if we invite you for a video, just know there's gonna be something wrong. We're gonna have to fix it. We're sorry.
I'm a cosplayer. We embrace the chaos all the time.
Very nice.
See, that's why she should like goblins more than stupid halflings.
We're back to being unhinged again.
We left.
Anyway,
we left the unhinged state.
Anyway, so where can everybody find you? What's your stuff? And we'll kind of just end it there.
Yeah, so I'm MaxFerocity on pretty much all social media channels, except for my YouTube. I think you can find it under MaxFerocity, but it's called Pour the Mold. There's not really videos out there yet, except my old spoiler videos, but soon to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much, and till next time.
Till next time.
Peace.
Peace.